You know, a lot of people say to me, why don't you just be a woman with short hair who looks like a man? Why don't you just still use the word woman? They're really saying, why don't you identify as cis? Because that has more privilege and your life will be easier. Well, I'll go like, I've started thinking myself as non-binary, and then I'll go, I guess in some ways that makes me trans. And I've had like really well-intentioned cis people go, you're not trans. Like, I wouldn't want to be trans. And I go, well, how do you know I'm not trans? And they're like, because you're not trans. And I'm like, well, there are some people who transition, from male to female, female to male, but trans means bridge. And there are a lot of people who stand on the bridge. I'm on the bridge. I prefer the more political designation. I want to name my lack of privilege. So for me, checking that X box means I'm identifying publicly as trans, not cis. And that to me is something I actually want. Gender is always going to be here. It just doesn't need to have any relationship with bodies. So people can be really, really femme, really feminine, really female. That doesn't mean they have a vagina. People can be really masculine, really butch, really macho, totally not connected to penises. So I don't think we have to get rid of gender. We just have to get rid of the way that gender is essentialized to be connected with bodies. I mean, I think gender is great. People like gender. And then there can be that space, which will always be there, and has always been there, but hasn't been named, which is maybe somebody who is both and neither, or somebody who goes back and forth. That's a third space, which I think is going to become the next phase. I was just reading the New York Times this weekend, and they talked about this state is adding a third choice to your driver's license. And also some people are changing birth certificates, so there can be a third box. I think this is actually quite huge. This third box is like a really exciting and interesting notion that forms would have a third box on them, that all forms would say M or F or X. Imagine that you're transitioning, that you think of yourself as female, and you're ultimately going to be seen as female, but you have a few years. You're going to want that X box checked on your passport when you're at the airport. The X box is a safe place anytime you cross a line where there's a security guard or a check-in or a form. Imagining something like you're filling out your kid's school thing and they're asking you what gender is your kid, and maybe your kid isn't even all that non-binary, but maybe your kid is 3 and you're filling out a form for a preschool and it says, what gender is your kid? And as a parent, you go, you know what? I'm gonna mark that X box because I don't really want them, put in the girls thing or the boys thing. So I think this thing that's starting off as this like very innocent, funny thing, which is like, oh, third box, is gonna create a class of people who identify as other. And these people hopefully will be able to agitate and activate together, maybe even vote together, become a caucus of people who relate across lines that haven't been written before. It's pretty amazing thinking about what the future could hold.